Meisner makers, it is Wednesday, so welcome to Wednesday Workshop at 1. By popular request, Jody today is going to take us through how to cut fabric using your ScanNCut. And so before I leave you with Jody and the ScanNCut and cameraman Joel, we want to share a quick little walkthrough of what you're going to learn in today's lesson. So we're going to be pre-cutting, Jody is going to be cutting fabric for embroidered applique that would then be stitched out on the embroidery machine of your choice. So in today's lesson, what she's going to take you through is selecting your design, bringing your SVG files to your ScanNCut, cutting your fabric, about right? And
well, this one did not have an SVG file, so I'm going to show you how to do that with
tricky.
Yes, just with a PDF file.
Okay.
And scan it and then get your cut files.
So you're going to get bonus brilliance today. If it were me, I would just have picked a design with an SVG file for you. So you're going to learn a lot in today's lesson. So cameraman Joel, Jody, I'm going to turn it over to you and make them brilliant.
This is the design that Jennifer had picked for us to work on this week. And it is an OESD design, and you can purchase it through Meisner's website. It's item number 21019, Boy Meets Girl. Now, this file did not come with an SVG file, but it did have a printable template. And so you just print out the template that you need for what we're going to do. And you're going to use your scanning mat from Brothers. You're going to open it up. It has a plastic sheet on top. You're going to slide in your copy. You want to make sure that your copy's nice and clear and crisp. Do not throw this away. This stays on the scanning mat. You're going to line up your mat to the two edges. You're going to load. And now it's ready for me to scan. I'm going to touch scan. Now I have three choices here. I can do direct cut, scan to cut data, and I could scan to USB. Well, I am going to scan to cut data, so I'm going to touch the middle one. And it's now telling me to do that, I have to hit the start key. And now it's telling me that there's a scanner lever on the side of the machine. And if you're facing your machine, it is over on the left-hand side, and you just drop that lever and you go ahead and hit start. It's now recognizing all the information that I just scanned through there, and it usually takes, I don't know, less than a minute. So I have already scanned it, and I saved it, and now I'm going to pull it out of my retrieve data. Now, you can save it to a USB, but because we're going to be cutting it off the machine, I just went ahead and saved it to my machine. Now you'll notice that there's an arrow down. That means that I have more pages with designs saved on them. Just go to the last one. Okay, so now we have our design, and I've done this several times, so that's why there was 3 of them already there. And now I brought in my design. I'm going to hit OK. Because I have to edit a few things. I have some parts on here that I don't want. There's a lot of stuff on the very top. That would be the OESD, Boy Meets Girl. I don't want that on there. And these 3 down here, I don't want. So I'm going to get rid of those. Now they're kind of scattered all over the place, and there's several ways of deleting things off of a screen. But if you kind of want to do it fast and effective, there's this little button right here, and that is called the auto lineup tool or layout tool. And it'll do it 3 different ways. It'll put it at an angle, it'll stagger it, or it'll line it right up. So now it's got everything to the top, and it's really easy for me now to pull down the big items that I need. So there's my L. Whoops, hit OK. There's my L, my V, my O, and my E. Now I can get rid of all of that in one fell swoop. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my Edit button. And I'm going to hit my Select. And then I am going to hit my Resize button right there. It's a double arrow. And what I want to do, I want to move that all the way up so that I've isolated just the top. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to then touch and deselect this one. I just want those to stay selected. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit Garbage Can. And then I'm going to hit OK. And it has now gotten rid of everything that I no longer need. And now it's ready for me to place it on the screen to how I'm going to cut it on the mat. So I'm going to move my L up here, my flower here, my E over here, and my V over here. Now you can, once these are selected, you can also touch that button and you can move it that way also. I'm just kind of grabbing them. Okay, so now that's ready. So I'm going to hit OK. And now I'm going to get my mat that has my fabric on it, and I'm going to explain to you how I prepare my fabric to be cut. So now we're ready to take and put our fabric on our fabric mat. Now this is the first time I've used this fabric mat. This is the newer one that they came out with. I actually have the older one that has the film on it. I was really impressed with this mat. I actually just put a piece of plain cotton fabric down on it and cut it out, and it did not rip it. It cut it perfect. So I was really impressed with this mat. But because we're doing an applique, I wanted an iron on the back of it so that I can iron it down and it'll stay nice and flat as it stitches out on the applique. So what I have here is I have my fabric already done, and as you can tell, I already have cut out this morning for part of my sample board that I did earlier. But there's still room on here for me to cut another section of letters. And this is what's so awesome about the ScanNCut, is you never have to throw any of these pieces away, because I'm going to show you, you can scan and you can zero in on all the areas that you can cut out. So now that I have it just randomly placed on there, they're just in a general area where I know they need to be. I'm going to load my mat. And you want to make sure that you roll this really well so that it's stuck really nice. You can also use Terrial Magic for this project too, but it will not have any adhesive, any iron-on adhesive on the back of it, but it will make it nice and stiff. Okay, so now that the mat is loaded, we need to scan it again so that I know where I can move my letters to cut. So we're going to hit that little guy right there, the little scan, and we're going to hit start. Oh, it's telling me that I forgot to put my lever up. So on the left-hand side, I touched my lever. See, this machine is so intuitive, it tells you if you forgot something. So I need to start again. So now you can tell I have a L up here and a flower and the E, and they're all going in the wrong directions. So before I can cut these, because we have to cut them in reverse, I have to take and turn all of these and flip all of these. So we're going to go to edit, and we're going to select all of those. We're going to hit OK. We're going to hit edit object, and we're going to flip them all. And we're going to hit OK. We're going to hit unselect. And they're all unselected, and now they're going. They didn't look like they flipped to me, but they did, because I'm looking sideways. And now they're ready for me to move around on the board. So first one is again, you can use your arrow keys, or you can just drag it where it needs to be. A little close there, so that's okay for that one. And you can tell I still have fabric left over. Looks good to me. How about to you, cameraman Joel?
I think it looks good.
Okay, so now we're going to hit OK. We're going to hit OK again because it's ready. We're going to tell it to cut. Now, you can always test your cuts first, or you can be brave and sorry later on. I personally would much rather just get it out of the way the first time. So I am going to touch test. And you'll notice that there's a little test circle right there. I can actually move placement on that too. Hit OK. We're going to go ahead and start our cut, our test cut. But first of all, you want to make sure that you have everything lined up. I have my half cut off because we only use half cut when we use vinyl. And my speed is set automatically. My pressure and everything else is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start. Okay, so cameraman Joel, do you think we got a good cut there?
I think we got a good cut.
Okay.
I can see it myself, actually.
Yes. So let's get out one of our tools from the handy dandy little kit that you get when you purchase your ScanNCut. And I'm going to lift this up. Oh, look at that nice cut. Okay. So I think we're ready to go on the rest of the cuts. So let's just go ahead and hit start. So now that it's finished, we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And we can go ahead and check our cuts before we completely take it off, because if it didn't cut very well, you can go back and recut it again. But I happen to know that this has been cutting fabulous. And look, we still have room for more. We still have extra cuts we can do. Perfect cut. Oops. As it slipped out of my hand. Perfect cut. Runaway V. Okay, so that's how easy it is to scan, edit your file, and cut it out. And next, I'm going to show you how we're now going to use that in the design that we have. So you're going to hoop your stabilizer, and then you're going to hoop your fabric, whichever you decide to stitch it out on. I just have mine out on stabilizer, and I used black so that you can see it easier on the screen. So the first thing it's going to stitch is your placement line. After your placement line is done, you are then going to put down your pieces of fabric. Now, on the back of each one of your pieces of letters, there is a piece of paper. If you have used any fusible webbing on the back, you have to remove the paper. And then go ahead and line them up with the outside of the edges of the placement stitch. Iron it down. Now I use just a little tiny iron. And I pull my hoop out, and I do this on a mat. I do not iron on my bed of my sewing machine, as I have seen some people do. That's just, that's plastic. So remove your hoop and then go ahead and iron it down. After that's been done, the next thing that your pattern design is going to do is it's going to do a tack down. This company does a double tack down. Some companies only do one around. This company does two. And when you have an SVG file that you've cut, you want to make sure that you've got a really good tack down on it. So it does a one tack down first, and then it comes along a couple millimeters over and does a second one. So it holds it really nice. So if you accidentally don't get it on there perfect, it's still going to stay in place because it has that second tack down. And then finally, just finish stitching it out. And that's the result. I know I didn't use a whole lot of colors, but it is just on stabilizer, and I just wanted you guys to be able to pop and see it, sample. But I really do like the colors that I chose. So that is how you use the ScanNCut with files. So SVG files are easier because you could import them and cut. But if you don't have one and you have to scan it, you just saw how easy it was to create your own cut files and how to edit them. I could have made them bigger, I could have made them smaller, but because I was doing a stitch out, I needed them to be the size that they needed to be. So I've been having a lot of fun playing with the ScanNCut. We have a lot of little projects that we've got going on up in our brains. So we would probably going to be showing them within the next couple of months. And one other thing that I like to have when I do fabric applique, sometimes you get little pieces of thread. I like to keep a little small lint brush before I do some stitches, just to get it out of the way. So this is just something that I like to do. And with that, Camera Joe, I think we have concluded our project for the day. I hope everybody enjoyed it. So what do you think? Do you think you could do this now, Joel?
I could probably do this myself.
There's a test afterwards.
I'm probably going to fail that. I didn't study.
Okay, everybody, I hope you had a great time learning. I hope I inspired you to go ahead and use your ScanNCut and to get out there and keep stitching, because it looks like we're going to be at home a little bit longer. And what better way to pass the time than be creative and have fun? Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.